So welcome back to another episode. It's something that I've been saying for 14 years now, because 14 years ago today, I started this show on YouTube, and realistically, I had no idea what direction I was going in, how long I would do it for, or anything like that. I saw this new frontier with YouTube. It was a brand new time, and I thought, hey, I should really get in front of the camera and talk about all these games. And I'm like, no, I'm way too afraid to do that. I'm like, well, where's the Fantasy Star reviews? Where's the Ease reviews? There was none. And it's crazy that here I am 14 years later, looking back on it all now. And it's extraordinary. And I just want to talk today about the experience of starting YouTube and what it's been like, and all through the years. It's really a fascinating thing. And a lot of you out there have been watching since day one. I mean, it's fascinating for me as well to see how much I've changed over the years. I remember when I first started, I was beardless. I was a smoker. I was really thin. I had a bandana. I was very, very unhealthy, and I wasn't very, very good in that way. And here we are 14 years later. I'm off cigarettes. I got a beard now. My girlfriend at the time, I got married over that time, and then we had a baby, and the baby is growing up now. It is amazing what happens in 10 years or 14 years, and extraordinary. And it was fascinating back then doing YouTube, and I didn't really realize that I would meet so many friends throughout the years, and also I get to meet so many of you out there, and things have changed over 14 years. I will walk down the street now and I'll run into people who know me from the show, and it happens a lot now, a lot more than what it used to, and it's kind of extraordinary. Even when I go food shopping, I have people saying, hey, do you think we'll get any news on Dragon Quest 12? And I'm like, what? Like, why are you asking me that? How do you know I like Dragon Quest? And yeah, I forget there's a show out there that's been seen nearly 63 million times. It's quite a lot over the years, and it never started off that way. I mean, I remember having like 30 subscribers and getting my friends and family to subscribe so I could get to 1,000 subscribers. That would be my maximum thing. And here we are, 275 plus thousand subscribers later, and it's been a heck of a journey. The one thing that I definitely want to say is that, and I want to say this to other YouTubers out there, have fun with this stuff. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the gaming hobby itself. I mean, a lot of people nowadays come onto YouTube and I think they want to get internet famous, or they want money, or they want something like that, or everybody wants something. What I wanted was just to talk about these games. That's what I wanted to do. I mean, I love these games so much, and they meant so much to me, and I'm like, I need to talk about them. I'm scared to talk about them, but I want to talk about them. And I'm telling you, anybody coming onto YouTube, enjoy doing this. This is my number one thing. If I meet anybody in the streets and they started a YouTube show, I always tell them, like, enjoy what you're doing, because talking in front of the camera is one aspect of it. You have everything behind the scenes, and most of the show is me sitting in the darkness, editing or playing games, and that's a lot of fun. But I mean, it's constant. And here's the thing, I do a video every single Sunday. I never miss a Sunday unless I've been very sick or something tragic has happened. Knock on wood. I mean, those are the only things that stop me from doing the show. And it's quite the work, ethic to have, to continuously put out episodes for 14 years. And I've had to sacrifice a few things here and there. Never my family, but sometimes if you're feeling sick, or if you're feeling not up to it, and there's been many times I'm like, I need to film this video, but I don't have that energy. I'm not always like go all the time. I am like probably about 80%, which is really funny. But I mean, it takes a little bit for sometimes to say, I force myself to come sit down right now and go, okay, I'm gonna film. And then once I get going, I'm usually pretty good. I enjoy the space in here now. And that's the difference between now and 14 years ago. When I first started, I was like looking at the ground, and I was like, it was really tough to begin with. It was really, because I could see everybody watching me. I felt that every time I looked in the camera. Where now, I invite everybody and it feels good. I mean, we're all here to talk about the fun of video games and to hopefully have a good time at times. And that's what it's all about for me. And it's been a fantastic journey over the years. And a lot of people might come to the channel and say, oh my God, this guy, he just loves everything. He just likes everything. That is far from the truth. On this show, I only sit down and review games that I think I'm going to enjoy. So I'm like, Elden Ring, do I think I'm going to enjoy that game and start playing it? Yeah, I had a sneaking suspicion I would. I don't go out of my way to bash games or to play games I don't like and then get angry about it. That's not my shtick. Have I talked about a lot of games that I thought were going to be good that weren't? Absolutely. And also, for anybody who's really watched the show, they know it's not what you say with me, it's how you say it. And so, in my Shenmue 3 review is a great example of that. I'm the biggest Shenmue fan, I swear, on the planet. I love Shenmue more than anybody. My review in Shenmue 3 is it really explains what the channel is about, is that I dissected that game so hardcore, and in the end, it's kind of a negative review. It kind of is. It pretty much is. But it's the way I said it. I mean, I didn't get angry about it. I discussed it. I said, you know, it's not doing the same thing it was doing 20 years ago. And that was one of the disappointing things. And you kind of get into things like that. I mean, for me personally, but I don't need to get angry about it. Why am I going to get angry about it? I remember when Cyberpunk came out and was a disaster from all its glitches. I wasn't angry. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I still remember that video I made. I was like, I can't believe it, and all of that. So, yeah, I mean, the show is for me to enjoy the hobby that I've always enjoyed before I had a show. And a lot of people come up to friends of mine that know me, and they're like, is he really that happy? Is he really that enthusiastic about games? And you'll always get this answer. Yes, he is. I am, because before I started the show, I would always buy the latest games. I would always do all of that kind of stuff. And I would play them to, a great degree. And I loved it. And I loved it over the years. And I just did it for me. And I'd spend thousands at Christmas. I mean, thousands on the latest game machines and everything. Like all the latest video games, because I loved it. I wanted to play all the latest Final Fantasy games and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden I started a show. And then I realized that, boy, I can talk about everything that I've been talking about with Rob and my friends, but I can do it in front of a camera. And you think my enthusiasm's here? You should see. I've seen the conversations I've had with Rob, with Kim behind the scenes. I get, if I like something, I really get into it, and that's one of the fun things. And the one thing is that I want to say thanks to a lot of different people. I want to say thanks for Rob for always coming on the show, and I mean, whenever I can get him on, I mean, it's always a tough thing. And I mean, it's always a tough thing too, because when Rob comes over, we want to hang out and just have a hangout time, but we're always like, hey, why don't we turn our conversation about video games that we're going to have anyways, why don't we just get in front of the camera and do it? And we found it very, very fun to do that. So we kind of balanced our lives and talking about games that way, so it's not like taken away from things. The one person that I really want to thank is behind the scenes, and obviously you see her on the show, and that is Kim, my wife. Kim, you have no idea how much Kim made this channel succeed in a different way. And how I mean is that my channel for a very long time was mostly a retro memories channel for the most part. And I was saying to Kim, I said, the channel's not growing. It's not really growing. It's doing well. I'm always slowly always go up. I got a very cult audience. But it wasn't growing, and this is like 7 or 8 years ago, even maybe a little bit longer. And she's like, why do you think that is? I said, I don't know. And she's like, do you talk about all the new games you're playing? And I said, no. She's like, well, you're playing all this new stuff. You're always playing the latest games, but you're only talking about older games. You should talk about all the new stuff. And I'm like, do you think so? And I was like, it was a very big change for the show. I know you may not know that behind the scenes, but Kim really encouraged me to talk about the newer games. And I think something I was doing my entire life, but I didn't think it suited the show. I was, oh no, people don't know me talking about old games. So it was a very, very unique thing to do, to start talking about new games. And then all of a sudden, that and the old stuff got perfectly balanced. And now I think I've created, for myself, a perfect show for me to talk about older stuff, to talk about new stuff, to talk about, items that I picked up that mean something and why. And I'm able to articulate it. I feel after 14 years, I can articulate it the way I think. I remember when I first started the show, and I do a review, and I edit it and finish it. I was like, I told only like 1/10 of what I wanted to, and I didn't get it across. Where talking in front of a camera for 14 years, you're finally able to do it. And I tell you about the secret. It's not a secret, but how it works for me. Even doing this video, I'm in a room by myself. I'm talking to a camera right here. Like, what is that? Like, I kind of figured it out to be something. It's a form of, not a hypnotism, but a form of unconsciousness I kind of go into. And I trust myself. Like right now, I'm just trusting myself to say what I want to say. And listen, that's another thing I do. I don't script anything. I don't. Some reviews I'll have little notes to keep me on track. So my graphics are like mention a couple of notes of this and this to keep me in tune. But I never write anything down. So if you ever see me like this, and I always try to edit myself out because it looks like I'm reading, and I'm reading nothing. But I sometimes look down, sometimes when I'm thinking, I sometimes type of thing. But I don't ever. Everything's unscripted, and that's my shtick. And I have a lot of friends out there. They can't do what I do. They would say, oh, I can't sit in front of a camera and just ad lib and talk like that. Where I can't sit and write a script and read from the script. I'm not very good at that. It comes off as very, I can't fake it. I can't fake the reading thing. And this game came out in 1983. I read like that, but I talk like this, and I talk natural. And I felt it's added to the honesty of the show. There's no filter. Yes, if I mess up and say a name wrong or something, I can edit that out. And I've done that a few times over the years to get things right, because sometimes I do 20-minute monologues and you don't always get everything right. Sometimes you get to the end of it, you're like, I did great. And you're looking like, why did I call that when I know it's that? Sometimes you're in that stream of consciousness and you say something else. But anyways, I'm getting off, but it's been a bit of a journey. It's been a wonderful journey, and it's been something that I started off doing, not knowing what direction I was going in, and I've ended up here 14 years later, and I can genuinely say this from my heart. I'm so happy that all you guys watch, and I'm still doing a show that I 100% believe in, and I want to give my time to. And people ask me, how are you able to do it? How are you able to do the show and do everything else you do? I sleep very little. I'm not kidding you. I probably sleep 4 to 5 hours a night. I stay up really late editing or playing games or something like that. So I'm eternally tired. But I started the show when I was 34 years old. Okay, I'm 48 at this present point right now, and I've been tired the entire time. I really have. But sometimes you got to give some things up to gain some things. And a lot of people I know write to me and ask me, hey, I want to do a show, but I don't have time to do it. I can only do this and this. You have to make the time. I spend a lot of time just putting background music in, getting the editing right, capturing the video game footage, putting it in at the right time, putting B-roll in. So if I'm talking about something, there's something to show. That's very, very important for my show. It may not be important for the show that you do, but if you want your show to be successful, there's a level of caring behind the scenes that has to go in. Anybody can speak in front of a camera, especially nowadays. Everybody does. But if you want to stand out, I think that's what I'm trying to say. If you want to stand out a bit, you got to put in that extra little bit of gas in the car to get it really going. Because, there's so much competition on YouTube now. When I started, and I'm saying competition not in a competing way, but more there's just a vast number of people doing exactly what you're doing. All right? So for me, when I started, there was the Angry Video Game Nerd, there was the Irate Gamer, there was Spoony, and a few other people, but it was very few. My claim to fame, I had the first Neo Geo review. like full on, where I had all the Neo Geo games out and I was talking about them back in 2008. That was a really novel concept. First Phantasy Star review, first Ease reviews. I mean, first TurboGrafx reviews, first like Super Graphics review. I mean, I'm not saying I was an innovator, but I thought everything had been done because the AVGN was doing this stuff. Coming in and talking about retro gaming hadn't been done. So I was talking about things, and it happened to be for the first time. Isn't that amazing? When I built my shelf. You know what? Oh my God, I'll tell you a story in a second. I built my shelf, and I thought everybody's going to laugh at me. They're all going to laugh me off the internet. I'm putting up a shelf behind me with all the games that I really like, and we're going to talk about video gaming and why I like it and all the games I like and the reasons why. It was a strange thing to do, because there was the Irate Gamer and Angry Video Game Nerd. They were bashing games. That was a cool thing to do. What I was doing was kind of like, it felt like it was anti-cool. And, if I had a shtick and a character, I could have probably done a lot better. But I didn't want to go that direction. And then, it's so funny? So I was one of the first people to ever have a shelf behind me. Everybody has shelves behind them now. It's like the thing on YouTube, all right? And I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not knocking anybody for doing it. I find it funny because people come into my videos now once in a while, don't get too often, and some guy will come in and go, "Oh, you're just one of those guys that talks in front of your video game collection." I was like, man, I started this. I was the first one to do it. And not saying anything, but it was embarrassing back then. It was embarrassing. I'm glad everybody can do it now and not be embarrassed, because I was embarrassed for probably the first few years of doing it, because it was just so weird. And I remember the idea of having a show online was so different and unique. And I remember saying, yeah, guys, I'd be talking about in episodes I was doing. I said, yeah, this is an episode. And I remember people coming in and saying, what, you think this is television? This isn't an episode. This is just a vloggy thing. Because it was so new. And now we live in a time where cable TV networks are just drying up. That stuff is disappearing. YouTube is one of the most prominent places to watch the news and everything. And then it's like streaming services. In the span of 14 years, it all changed. It all changed. And I'm really glad that I got in at the beginning. And I feel for a lot of YouTubers now who are coming in, trying to break into a space. And it's not because like people are lacking talent. People have more talent than I had when I started. I had way more. I had no talent when I started. Not at all. It took me 14 years to feel like I got better. Where I feel bad because now there's so many established channels that people already go to and watch. So to have a new show to come in, I really think you need to stand out from the pack. And it's hard. I couldn't even imagine starting now and all that. But I tell you this much, if I did start now, I think I could start a brand new show in a whole different way and have it do okay. And, grow and find an audience that way. And it's funny. I came in today to talk about, 14 years of doing YouTube, and I had no idea what I was going to say. I kind of filled this video up a little bit, and I just want to thank you all for sticking with me over the last 14 years, and my God, over 1,000 videos I've done. It's crazy to think about all these years later that when I did my first video, I could have never imagined I would have 1,000 videos done. And my father, this May, has been passed away for 25 years now, and he would have never imagined he passed away just before Final Fantasy VII came out, just before the internet really kind of started. He couldn't have imagined what I would have done in the future with a show, that I would have a show on the internet. He would have even known what that was. On YouTube, he wouldn't have known what that is. And a video game show? I remember my dad, in a good nudging way going, "Oh man, John, you're playing another video game. Oh man, go do something else. Go do something else." I was, I'm having fun. And all of that. Little did he know that all those years were the foundations of the show that they are now. And it's so weird that was the past and it was the present at the time, where now we're in the future. That was 1997. I'm in the year 2022 now. And this is it and all of that. So it's crazy, and it's also crazy for my daughter to walk into my games room here, and it's so wonderful. I always love it when she comes in here, and I swear to God, the first game that she went for was this right here. Phantasy Star on the Mark III. That was the first game she picked out of the shelf. I guess it was sitting like this and she just pulled it out. It was very, very cute. But she comes in and I think she's like, what is all of this? This is very... Because I always say, this is Dada's room. And she's just looking at things and she thinks it's very, very interesting. I put some videos of her going through the games room on my Instagram page. Just down below if you want to check that out. I won't ever put her on YouTube. Not at all. Not till she's like 18 years old or something like that. Far off in the future. But it's nice to share things with her and for her to see her dad's passion. It's like, what is all of this? And then, you know, and it's really great. But anyways, that's a story for another thing about having a child and how amazing it's been for me. It's been a miracle, and it's been truly amazing. Just like all of you watching out there. And I just want to thank you for the last 14 years of watching my stupid ass talking all the time about goddamn video games. And I really want to thank you for sticking by me for a lot of the old timers, we'll call you now. And will I still be doing this show when I'm 60 years old? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason why I will is because I'll have such a breadth of knowledge at that point. Probably I'll forget it all at that point, right? I'm like, I can't remember. When did Ease come out again? You know, it'll be one of those. But it'll be really cool to be in my 60s and talking about when the Nintendo first came out and all the systems that I played over the years. I mean, that's my lifetime. That's my life. And I think that's really going to be a remarkable moment for me looking back on. And it's also another good thing for my daughter can look back through, this is realistically, all these videos are for her, when she gets older, look back and see, what was my dad doing in the year 2022? You know, what a nut job. Man, he's so into video games. Man, he's so funny. It's too funny. So anyways, guys, I'm going to get out because I won't stop talking. It's just crazy that I've been here for 14 years. What a miracle. So anyways, guys, until next time.